Hey there, it's Elizabeth and welcome back to another video. So today, hopefully, I'm going to show you a few easy ways on how to extend your journal pages when you're making a handmade journal. Now, a viewer, Sabrina, had asked or had said she was having issues, I guess, difficulties in extending the page, okay? In other words, when you have, let's say, okay, I hope this goes well and I hope I can explain it well enough. Okay, so here is a book that I'm going to turn into a journal. Okay, I've gutted it. I'm gonna take the spine out and reinforce it and all of that stuff. But for the purposes of this video, I'm not gonna go through all of that with you because it's simply a video about extending a page. Okay, so let's say you have just a regular sheet of paper. Let's see, this is like graph paper. Here is what problem some people encounter, and I have in the past as well, so you have to come up with creative ideas to extend the page, right? So this paper, let's get my ruler correct here. Sorry if there's any glare. Okay, open up. This is 11 by 8.5. Okay, so this is a regular sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. Now, the problem occurs when you take this, right, and you fold it in half to make part of your signature. What ends up happening is when you go to sew it into your book, you have all this extra space over here. Now, a lot of people don't mind that. In my creative journals, let me just show you, here is like a blank one that I'm using, okay? In these journals, I use pages, I specifically pick pages that are wide enough, okay? And I actually end up having to cut off the ends. But yes, I generally pick pages that are wide enough for a double spread. In particular, for me, I like my pages going up and down, right? So in other words, like if I had a page like this that I wanted to use, I don't prefer to fold it like this and have the words going the wrong way. That's just me. That's your own preference. Some people don't care, whatever. But for mine, I like my pages going up and down. Typically, I try to pick pages that are the correct size and or bigger, you know? So there are a lot of books that you can find. You can take the double spread out and it will end up fitting in your book quite beautifully, right? With maybe trimming the top and the bottom off a little bit, and that's all you have to do. But the issue is when you have just an 8.5 by 11, how do you extend that, okay? Or even a sheet of scrapbook paper, you know? If you have a sheet of scrapbook paper that's 12 by 12, you fold it in half, you're gonna get one side that's 6 inches and one side that's 6 inches, right? You cut it to the height of the book, but you've still got all this space left over. So what do you do with that? There are a few ways that you can handle that, and here is one of them. So now, what I do with this, okay, is this is double-sided scrapbook paper. And what I have done is extended the length of the paper so that when it is folded in half to make the signature, it will fit in the book properly, okay? Now, this serves two, cool things, all right? First of all, you've extended the page to make it wide enough, for your book. And the second cool thing is you've made a ready-made pocket, okay? I like to do this type of thing for like the covers of my signatures because in a journal, it's always nice to have a pocket to put your doodads, right? So how I do that is I simply take the two pieces of, actually, I guess it goes like this. I take the 2 pages of scrapbook paper and I cut it to the height, okay? Now, there are not going to be any measurements in this video because everybody's book is different, okay? But the premise is the same. So if you stick with me and follow along, I hope I make sense to you, okay? So I've taken the scrapbook paper and I've cut it down to size to fit the height of the book. And then what I did was, let me find the page that I just had. Where did it go? Oh gosh, you'd think I'd be prepared. Okay, I don't know what happened to it. It was that brown piece of paper. Oi, criminy Jean. Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, what I've done is I've actually made a template. Okay, so I took this page right here. This is, it's from a large book, right? So I took it and I made a template as to how wide my pages need to be. All right. So I kind of put it in the center, or I hold the book up like this, right? I stick this in as if it was sewn in the signature on the spine, right? And then I take it down like that and I measure it, and that's how wide my pages need to be, okay? Now, again, if you're using an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, it's not gonna work. If you're using a 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, it's not gonna work because you're only gonna get about this far, right? So you need to add some to the end or to the middle, or however you want to do it. So let's show you how I did that. Okay, so I did measure this, not measure it, I kind of eyeballed it, right, to fit this. Okay, so I take the two pieces of scrapbook paper and I overlap them, just eyeballing it, to make sure that it's wide enough for the book. Okay, I overlap them, I make a little mark, I take it to my sewing machine and I sew it top and bottom. Then I take it and fold it in half, right, to make the cover of a signature. And there you have it. So on this part right here, you can put whatever you want, pictures, collage work, whatever. And then on the inside, you have this nice little pocket here to hold doodads, right? Your signature is going to be sewn into here. And then of course, so, you know, you're going to sew it all together into the book. And then on the back side, you have this cute little pocket here, right? Okay. Now, that's one way to extend the pages, okay? There's one way. Another way would be, so here's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, right? Again, if you fold it in half, you're only gonna get, you know, what is it, 5.5 inches, right? So you have all this blank space. Again, some people don't care. They like a variety of sizes and shapes in their journals, and that's fine. Do it however you want to do it. But for the purposes of my journals that I make, I like them all the same size. So there are times that I do extend the pages if I don't have pages that are big enough, okay? So what I've done here is I have used this again, right? Okay, and then I folded it to match the width of the paper, okay? I folded it over like this, all right? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut this piece off, okay? And I'm gonna do it to two of them, actually. So here are my two pages, okay? I'm gonna put them together as best I can, and then get my paper trimmer out, and I'm just gonna cut them right on that fold line that I had made. I'm gonna save these, okay, because these can be used for a variety of things. Just like when I trimmed the scrapbook paper, I save these. Obviously, you don't want to give them away because they make great tags or whatever you want. So always save your bits. But in this case, we're gonna use one of these, okay? So now we're gonna take the little cutoff piece and we're gonna fold this in half. You can do this a couple, well, folding you can only do one way, obviously. So we fold this in half like this, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take, let's do it this way just so you can see it better. Okay, we're gonna take this like this, right? Okay, and we're gonna glue one side here on this side, and then we're gonna glue the other side on the other side, all right? So we're gonna get a trusty glue stick somewhere. Okay, here we go. And I'll just do this really quickly. Okay, obviously if I was making a journal, I would do this with a lot more care, but this is just for teaching purposes. So we're going to put this right up alongside the fold, okay? Just like that, all right? Now we're gonna take the other side, and again, if I was doing this for a, you know, a journal, I would do it with a lot more care. We're gonna take this piece and we're gonna put it we're gonna glue it right down to, I'm just using a glue stick so you have a little bit of a wiggle room. Whoops, a little bit of wiggle room, okay? Now, if you'll notice, I did leave a little tiny space in the center, and that is just so that it folds nicely, okay? So there you have it, page extended, okay? And then this, of course, would be like you would line it up, you know, and then you would put it in like this, right, as a signature, as a piece of a signature. If you don't like that area there, which you're not really gonna see, by the way, but if you don't like it, that's okay too. You can take a piece of washi tape, right, and you can just stick it right down the center. Well, sort of down the center, whatever. Okay, this is just how it's gonna go, because again, this is just for teaching purposes, no big deal, okay? So you can take it like that and kind of reinforce it a little bit, okay? And then you fold it in half, and there you have it. Now you have a page that is the correct width of your book, okay? So you can extend the page that way. All right, another way that you can extend the page, let me see here, okay, is like this right here, okay? I have these little planner sheets, and this is what I do with these, okay? I like things going up and down, all right? So what I would do is I would first, well, the first thing I think I would do is I would mark where I need to cut it, okay? Now, see, I'm using... Okay, let me see if I can explain this better. Okay, see these end papers? That is what I use as my little marking tool, okay? Instead of having to break out the ruler, measure everything and all that kind of jazz, okay? So I take these, all right, I want to cut these holes off, so I'm going to go a little bit to the left of the end paper, all right, on the right. And I'm gonna make a mark. No, that's gonna be too thin. Okay, I'm gonna make a mark in the center of the spine. There's a little line there just for my purposes. Actually, it's gonna go right to this line here, I think. Yeah, I think that'll work out. Again, there are really no precise measurements because every single book that you do is different, all right? So I'm cutting that little strip off, all right? And then I'm going to see that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's gonna work, I think. Okay, now I'm gonna use the top of the end paper, right, to make my little mark for the height of the page, okay? For the height of the page. And we're gonna cut that off, all right? We're gonna save that bit too because these look great on collage sheets, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the pages like this, right? And we're gonna take, let's see if I can move this up so you can see it. Okay, we're gonna line them up like that. We're gonna take our washi tape. Let's move this. Okay, and we're just gonna like try to put it. What I do is I go beyond the paper, all right? And I'll show you why I do that, okay? So we try to center it, okay, as best we can, okay? So I have that side, right? Now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna put this one right next to it, okay? Kind of line it up. It's easier with this kind of paper because it has lines, so I'm not going to go over it, but I'm just butting it right up next to it, okay, as best I can. Then these overlappy pieces of washi tape, I just stick down like that. Okay, stick these down like this, take my trusty washi again, line it up as best I can on this side. My hands are shaky this morning, so might not work all that well, okay? And then we're just gonna go like that, tear that off, okay? And now you have the center reinforced. You've added the pages to extend them, right? To get a bigger page. And then you just go back and fold it, right? Crease it as best you can, okay? So let's see here where the 3 pages or 4 pages that I have, okay? So this one we extended by overlapping them like this, sewing the top and bottom. If you don't have a sewing machine, you can glue it, or you could also just run a piece of washi tape halfway over and attach it that way. Fold it in half, and there you have an extended scrapbook piece of paper, okay? This is my template that I used, okay? This is another way you can extend it. You just cut it you cut the piece of paper to the size that you need, okay? You take the leftover strip and you just glue it down. Now, if you have a sewing machine, you want to be fancy, you can go ahead and sew it on the sides however you want to do it. Okay, so that goes in right like that. And then we have this kind of extended paper where we just cut it down to size height-wise for the book, right? And then we just butt them together and put tape on it, okay, and folded it in half, all right? And there you have the beginnings of a signature. Now, if you'll notice, some of these are a little bit longer. Here's a little tip for you. As you add more and more pages to your signature, okay? Typically, I only add 8, 9 including the cover, but I only add 8. And as you're adding your signatures, it's going to start coming out this way, more, okay? All you have to do in the end is trim off these ends. If you're overextended a lot, all you have to do is fold them in, right? So I have some, I think, in here. Let's see. Okay, like this. Like if they end up being too long, you just simply fold them in, and you can use this as a flap. You can glue it down on the top and the bottom and make a little pocket, however you want to do it, okay? And then there is that, okay? So there are just a few ways that you can extend the pages. You can also, where did that piece go? I had it, okay. You can also, like in the case of this one right here or this one right here, you know, you can either reinforce the center or glue, you know, put them together with a piece of washi tape. You can put them together with a strip of scrapbook paper, regular paper, whatever, to extend the pages. You could also just put a piece of fabric in the center, right? And just kind of like, see, instead of using this strip of paper here, you would just use a piece of fabric, cut it to however width you want it, and then sew that in or glue it on, and you can use that as an extender as well, okay? You could also, there are so many different ways you can do this, right? So say you have a page like this, right? Obviously, you have this much more to go, okay? You can take a strip of this kind of paper, cut it, you know, you can cut it if you want, and you can just glue it on until you get to the desired size, okay? So you could do it that way too, right? You could glue it on like that, and now you have an extension of a page. So many ways that you can extend a page. And I know, you know, again, some people don't care if the page, like for instance, I wouldn't care if I put this into my signature as one of my pages. I don't care that it's not big enough, but some people do. And so that was the question I had, was how do you extend the page, okay? Sometimes people even, they'll put the page like this way, right? So it is at the length, and then fold it this way, right? Lots of different ways you can do this, lots of different ways, okay? So you could actually, then you would sew it in here, right? This would be your page that you use. You could sew it in here, right? And then you could take another piece of paper. Okay, let's just take this one because I have it, right? You could take this and just glue this on right to the edge here, cut it off. I hope I'm still in frame. Yeah, cut it off on this edge, and then you have extended the page, and just glue it down, you know? Some people sew them together. I don't prefer that actually, because then, you know, you're trying to write on your page or whatever, and you've got this sewing bit in right smack in the middle. But there's another example of how you can extend a page so many different ways. Let me show you in this book here. as well, because this is a book that I purchased a few years ago from Gina at the Rebookery, and in here she does a lot of page extensions, right? So this one here, I hope you can see it closely enough. This was a calendar page, okay? Now let me look through the back here and find the other side of it. Okay, here's the other side of it, right? So when she folded it, it wasn't quite long enough on this side. So all she did was take an extra piece of, this happens to be wallpaper. She took an extra piece of wallpaper and just sewed it on like that, right? So lots of different ways. Let's see if she extended any other. Okay, here's another way she extended, just like I showed you. She took one page of a little children's book, took the other page, and then she did like I did here, right? On the other side, if you'll notice, where is it? Right here in the center, there's this white part. She just took another piece of book text, folded it in half, butted the two pages together in the center, and sewed it on, okay? So there's another way to extend the pages. Before coming on here, I looked online on YouTube to see if there were actually any videos on how to extend the pages, because I know a lot of people have you know, questions about that. And I only spent a short amount of time on YouTube to find it, and I couldn't find any. So I hope that this is helpful to you and giving you ideas on how to extend pages to make them longer for your book. Here is another way. Again, she just overlapped the two pages and just sewed them down the center, okay? And interestingly enough, when you do this, you can, let me see where I have like a little piece of something. Oh, I wanted it a little bigger, sorry. Oh, come on. Okay, here's one. Oh, golly, hey. My desk is a mess. Okay, here's a little tiny journaling card. Depending on where you sew this, you can use this as a little tuck spot, okay? So lots of different ways. Here she did it again. She just took a little strip, okay, of like a piece of children's book, folded it in half, butted the two pages together, and then sewed it together in this case. And that's how she extended the page, okay? So here's another example, right? She had a shorter page, she wanted to extend it, and so she just sewed an extra bit on. And again, this can be a little tuck spot for things, all right? I will leave her link below, but there you have it, okay? Probably my most favorite way, just if you're wondering, is this right here, because it's I don't know, I just like it because it ends up giving you pockets, right? So and you can do this with regular paper as well, okay? You can do this like, let's see here, I've got some dyed paper here, okay? You can do it like this, right? Like here's my template, this back one here, this is how wide the signature has to be. So you can just put these together like this, line them up, right? Okay, line them up like that, hold them together, and then sew them together, right, on the top and the bottom. And then when you end up folding it in half, you have pockets, okay, right? A pocket on the inside, a pocket on the outside, like that. So I hope that made sense. A few little ideas, some as simple as butting up the two pieces of paper and just taping them together, and that works a charm as well. You can just fold it like this, make sure it's, you know, the width that you need it. And then this, if you don't like this being this size, you want it bigger, then you just take a piece of paper, add to it, either sew it on or glue it on, and cut it to size. It really is just that simple. Or, like I said to you, just recapping, you could take a piece of fabric and use fabric as the center, sew the two pieces onto the fabric, fold it in half, and sew it into your signature, okay? So, I hope you all enjoyed that video. I hope that you understand a little bit more of how to extend your pages. I hope I explained it well enough. And yeah, I hope you try it for yourself. There are so many ways that you can use paper, extend things, make tucks and all of that, and have papers the same size, if you wish, the same size in your book, right? When you're making your signature, okay? So there you have it. If you have any more questions for me, leave them down below, and I'd be happy to help you out and answer those if I possibly can. And yeah, Sabrina, I hope you're watching, and I hope that this answers your question. And I hope it wasn't too confusing. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I hope you all have a great day and a wonderful rest of your week. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye.